following message is brought to you by the F1 chat. Da 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 da. Sorry to everyone out there who listens from Italy, or one of you, for butchering your national anthem, but we've changed the lyrics to da 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 da. Deal with it. Hi everyone, welcome to the F1 chat. I'm your host, Phil Lamington. Sitting to my left is a man who is deeply saddened by McLaren's performance in the Bahrain F1, JB. I don't know if I should ask you how you get on, JB. How are you, JB?
Yep.
$2.99?
$2.99.
And sitting to my left is a man who he was rather happy about this race. It's the man who, he speaks for himself. Longhorn, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Looks like me and JB have got a bit of a battle on our hands for the rest of the year, so I'm pumped.
Fuck, I'm glad you're pumped. I'm thrilled to be back there with the Williams.
Hey, it's on the up for us. So.
GP2 engine,
Yeah.
2.0. It's the Honda days all over again. Oh, I shouldn't say anything like that, because I mean, like, us Ferrari fans had 2020.
Yeah.
Like I said. So yeah, you know, the Maccas are trying. It's just, I personally don't think they can trust their brakes. That's what I think the problem is.
There's a plethora of issues, but we won't know. They seem to know what it is. I don't know what it is, but they can't fix it in 7 days, but we'll see.
It strikes me how they can go from being really competitive in testing to it just dropped off.
Well, it's as we were talking about earlier at the start of, I think in our first episode this season, we're talking about Haas in testing going, oh no, and then here we are going, oh yes.
Yeah, it kind of felt like it was, it's the same old with us. Same with Alfa Romeo, it was the same old.
I had Alfa Romeo was my worst team this year. They were like the team that was going to suck the most.
Yeah.
And they're out here like Guan Yu Zhou was like points finisher, I think.
They both finished in the points.
Yeah, so, you know, they've put them in the card shuffler machine this year, and
Yeah.
the whole world's flipped upside down.
It must sort of hurt you a little bit, JB, knowing that both Haas and Alfa Romeo have more points than McLaren.
Yeah, you're right. It does.
Well, what was that meme we seen earlier, John? Orange is the new Haas.
Orange is the new Haas.
I have that on my phone, so the people watching on YouTube will be able to see this photo. But thank you to everyone who's watched from YouTube and Spotify. We're slowly catching up to Joe Rogan.
We're
gonna hit that Joe Rogan milestone.
We're slowly catching things like a McLaren. Slowly. Slow incremental fucking gains.
It's
We're
still
2021 Haas of the podcast world. We're putting all we're saving our tokens up.
We're 2015 McLaren.
Current fucking McLaren.
GP2 podcast.
The GP2 podcast. All right, so we just finished watching the Bahrain F1 from Sakhir in Bahrain.
Mm-hmm.
What a race!
It's fantastic.
A few people said, "Oh, it's a boring race."
No,
not
for me. It wasn't. It was just interesting to see, how all the cars went, and there was excitement at the end, and it was just
there was enough intrigue to hold my interest for the full
race. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like seeing if Danny Rick could come from 20th to 18th. And he did. Good on him.
It was good to see like the Leclerc and Verstappen battle. That was wicked to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Got me excited for the rest of the year, thinking if these two are battling it out at the top, we're going to see some ripper driving from them too.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of fights up and down the up and down the grid. I mean, you had Bottas and Yuki Tsunoda.
For a while. Yep.
Yeah, you had Mick Schumacher and Zhou Guan Yu.
Yeah, Zhou Guan Yu and Lewis Hamilton for a bit too.
G.I. Joe,
G.I. Joe.
a real Asian hero. Joe is always there.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I had to get that
We
one in there.
attacked the Russians last podcast or the podcast before, and now we're attacking the Chinese. So bring on World War III.
Right, so we're going to go through the race classification. I was looking at lap on the screen, but the race classification for this race. Take it away, Longhorn.
Okay. After the conclusion of the Bahrain GP of 57 laps, Sakia, we have in first place in the Ferrari, Charles Leclerc.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, I wasn't doing that out loud. Sorry.
Yeah, very impressed.
And in second, to make it a 1-2 for Ferrari, we've got Carlos Sainz.
Sorry.
To round out the podium in third, we've got Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes.
Oh, because his tyres were gone.
Yeah. Bono, my tyres.
I didn't hear him complain. Oh no, he did complain
he
once
did complain.
actually.
When he got the hard tyres on him.
There's no grip.
Which,
'Cause
at least this time, there actually was. He wasn't posting fast.
I thought he was talking about his grip around his dick, but
Oh wow.
And into fourth, George Russell in the other Mercedes. The big surprise, number 5 in fifth, Kevin Magnussen in the Haas.
what a fucking effort.
Yeah, K-Mag, dude.
10 days back in the team.
Yeah.
If
Fifth.
Charles Leclerc didn't drive as well as he did, Magnussen was robbed for driver of the day.
Yeah.
wasn't he?
100%. I mean, I would love to see Gunter Steiner's face. At like
Happy
how
Gunter Steiner
yeah.
makes me happy.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, not as happy as Mad Gunter Steiner on Twitter, but I'm keen to see how he goes this year now.
Yeah.
I don't think he has to worry about everyone smashing his fuck door this year.
Yeah.
No. Maybe in celebration.
And in 6, we've got another surprise, Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo.
He did really well this race as well. Like,
It was brilliant.
I mean, his start was abysmal.
Yeah, other than that. But both the Alfa Romeos had a bad start.
Yeah.
get to when we
Valtteri
get to
Bottas
Gio.
was last by turn 1
Yeah,
and finished 6th
yeah.
in a car that I thought was going to be a shitbox.
I think
That-
everyone thought it was going to be a shit
That's
box.
equally as surprising as Kevin Magnussen in 5th in the Haas.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. In 7th, we've got Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, which I'm surprised.
He had a pretty average
was-
sort of day. Like he
was
flew
just
under the
there.
radar.
Yeah, which he always does, other than his win in Hungary. But
They both flew under the radar. Like we didn't think but we didn't think the Alpine was going to be anywhere either.
no,
And there it
But
is.
you did.
yeah.
You did.
I
You
thought
were
they
like you thought Alpine was going to go great guns this year.
Well, I thought they were going to be okay, but they're more okay than I thought they would be to open the season.
To start, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. In 8th, we've got Yuki Tsunoda. Points finish in the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, not a bad day at the
Yeah.
office for him.
Decent drive. I think he had the most overtakes on the day as well.
Yeah.
So, decent drive there. In 9th, we have
Fernando
Alonso.
It's on the screen there.
Oh,
Did you forget his first name?
It's me from last week.
Oh, don't ask me what my head's. Oh, I'm tired. I was thinking Xabi Alonso. Don't ask me why.
Xavi Alonso.
yeah. It's like, you're not a
Midfield striker,
defensive
Liverpool.
midfielder. Oh.
Go West Ham. Go Tottenham.
And in 10th, G.I. Joe. Points finished, the 66th driver to do so.
We were both
can't-
having a drink then, and you slapped the G.I. Joe on there.
We can't keep calling him G.I. Joe.
Yes, we can.
We certainly can. It's 100% his nickname on this show.
Well, I mean, we can't pick on Nikita Mazepin anymore.
Nah.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And at least Joe's showing he can drive.
Yeah?
It's good. In 11th, Mick Schumacher in the other Haas. Unlucky to not be in the points. but-
Yeah, I feel bad for him because he drove the legs
He was
off that
in the
Haas.
points most of that race until like the end.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that last safety car probably fucked him out of a points finish. But
I think the tyres went on him. That's really what happened to him.
I'm just happy the positive. That's his highest finish. So
Yeah.
to start the season that way, you at least know that he's going to have a car to get him.
He's going to get
capable
some
of being
points.
points, yeah.
He's going to get some points.
Yeah, which is good. In 12th, Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin,
Oh, your favourite.
my favourite driver on the grid, Mr. Personality himself. Yeah, I don't know. He was just there
are
as
you
well, wasn't
surprised
he?
the Aston Martins are that far down? Actually, after testing, I'm not. But
I thought they were going to be better this year.
I thought they were at least going to take a step forward.
Do
Yeah.
you want my honest opinion on this? I'm surprised they're ahead of the next two sort of teams.
Yeah?
Yeah, like I would have expected more from the McLaren and the Williams, and yet here's the Aston Martin being the...
I thought they might have been closer to what the Alpine were this race.
Yeah.
As in around that fighting for points finish sort of thing where they were never there the whole race, but we'll see how the season unwinds. In 13th, Alex Albon in the Williams.
See, I
Good race from him, I think.
was expecting more from him.
More, you think?
Yeah.
I think he done about what was expected.
I think so, yeah. I think it's
In terms
a
of
fine enough
Williams'
start.
overall performance, I think that's as good as they could have expected for
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I mean, considering it, it's something I'm sure we're going to get into in this podcast, but as we've talked about the power units, they seem to be on the losing side of that.
Yeah, we'll
So
get
far,
we'll get into
that,
the
but-
Merc power unit a little bit later.
Yeah. In 14th, Danny Ricciardo in the McLaren. Actually surprised he got this high.
Yeah, he beat
Else-
Lando Norris in 15th.
Yeah, beat your teammate. It's what you got to do. He's done it first round. Not that it's saying much of how, the way McLaren went, but yeah, in 15th, Lando Norris in the other McLaren. Just not a great day for them.
Yeah,
today.
they just weren't there. They haven't been there all weekend.
No. Has not been a good week for them. With preparation, with testing, and yeah, the race. So hopefully it improves. In 16th, Nicholas Latifi in the other Williams. Yeah, moving on.
$2.99.
Yeah, 299. 17th, filling in for Sebastian Vettel, Nico Hulkenberg in the other Aston Martin.
Yeah, the Hulk has
The
returned.
Hulk is back.
He, I think he qualified in front of Lance Stroll.
He did.
He just didn't seem to have a great day at the office.
No.
Keeping in mind he hasn't been in a 2022 car until like this weekend.
Yeah.
Stroll at least did testing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And he out-qualified him, so shows you Stroll, doesn't it? And now we get into the DNFs. I guess, does it count as 18th being the...
It
Yeah,
does.
It does, yeah.
It does.
So in 18th, Sergio Perez. In the
How
Red Bull.
unlucky was him?
Just
Like,
the
to get to
last lap.
The first corner of the last lap and his engine seized.
He would have defended that too. He would
Yeah.
have gotten third. I was sure of
He
it.
would have been on that podium and Hamilton wouldn't have had a prayer.
No.
And then
No.
that happened.
Oh, and which gets us on to the next driver in 19th, Max Verstappen in the other Red Bull.
Again, that was heartbreaking.
It was,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Just
Even like being a Ferrari supporter, Verstappen drove the legs off that car to
Oh,
try and keep up with Charles Leclerc all race. Lap 17 and 18, they fought like cats and dogs, and it was such great racing. And then slightly broken suspension, and then I think he had the same issue as Perez. I think it was something
he
to do
did.
with the motor.
Yep, battery, something with that. Which was unfortunate because watching that race deserved to finish like the way both teams went about it. They deserved to finish Leclerc first, Verstappen second, Sainz third, and Perez fourth. That should have been the deserved
Yeah.
top four. But and finally in the 20th, the last DNF, his car caught on fire. Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, he had an okay day at the office until his car decided to spontaneously combust.
Yeah, he did his best.
I think it was an electrical failure that caused his car to spontaneously
It
combust.
was the MGUK.
shut his car down and then basically just ignited.
Yeah, and made a really nice barbecue.
Would have been a pretty good rotisserie under there. All right. So, do we want to know how we got there?
Yes.
All right. For those of you that didn't watch the race, now you don't need to. Lap 1 of the Bahrain Grand Prix from Secure. Charles Leclerc starts on pole alongside Max Verstappen. Max with a scrubbed set of tyres to start the race. Everyone on brand new soft tyres, except the McLarens, as per the new rules, which means you don't have to use your Q2 tyre anymore. Off the start, Leclerc holds off Max with Lewis Hamilton and Kevin Magnussen jumping Sergio Perez. Daniel Ricciardo was dead last after starting on the medium tyres alongside Lando Norris. Valtteri Bottas dropped to the back as well. Esteban Ocon hit Mick Schumacher in the opening lap and spun him. Lap 3, Sergio Perez jumped Kevin Magnussen. Max Verstappen complains of funny engine braking in his Red Bull in the mid-corner. Lap 6, Esteban Ocon was given a 5-second time penalty by the FIA for his collision with Mick Schumacher. Lap 10, Sergio Perez flashed past Lewis Hamilton at turn 4. Daniel Ricciardo is warned to cool his power unit down despite being in 20th, with the McLaren struggling. Lap 12, Lewis Hamilton has the first pit stop of the new Formula 1 era.
And the McLarens are still struggling.
They were still struggling. Putting on a fresh set of hard tyres with Fernando Alonso following him in. Zhou Guanyu gets past Lewis Hamilton out of the pit stop.
And the McLarens are still struggling.
Yep. Lap 13, Lewis Hamilton gets back past Guanyu Zhou a lap later.
And the McLarens are still struggling.
You guys are real fucking funny, hey. Lap 15. Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz stop for fresh, soft tyres. Lap 17 to 20. Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc have a great battle for the lead. Charles Leclerc eventually getting ahead and staying ahead. Max Verstappen won about his brake temperatures whilst attacking the Ferrari, which seemed to be a common theme up and down the grid. Lap 28, Max Verstappen says his tyres are dead, while Lewis Hamilton behind him pits for medium tyres after disliking the hards.
While McLarens are still struggling.
Lap 31, Max Verstappen pits for medium tyres, Charles Leclerc pitting a lap later for medium tyres as well. Lap 32, Max Verstappen blows up on the radio after being told to take it easy on the outlap by his team. Max believes it cost him a chance to take the lead back from Charles Leclerc, saying he's never going to do it again. Lap 34, Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz pit. Sergio takes the soft tyres, Carlos Sainz takes the medium tyres. Lap 35, Lewis Hamilton is ironically warned about track limits at turn 4.
Well, it didn't take him 20 laps this time.
It took them 35 laps.
Yeah, but he didn't do it every lap, did he?
Well, he did it enough to be warned, and he was the only driver that I know that got a track limit warning.
Yeah, because I think Yuki Tsunoda was the only driver in qualifying to get his time deleted.
Despite the white lines being the new parameters for outside track limits.
Yeah, and I've seen plenty of drivers that go off those white lines, but for some reason it didn't count.
Yeah, it was odd.
Sergio Perez did it once and just, it was fine.
It was. Lap 44. Max Verstappen gambles on a late pit stop along with Sergio Perez.
And the McLarens are still struggling.
Lap 45. Carlos Sainz stops to cover off Verstappen. Max complains that his steering wheel has gone heavy. Lap 46. Pierre Gasly's AlphaTauri overheats and catches fire coming out of turn 3, bringing out the safety car. Charles Leclerc stopping for fresh, soft tyres. Lap 55, Max Verstappen is forced to retire 2 laps from the end of the race after Carlos Sainz jumped in for second place. Lap 56, Sergio Perez complains of power failure as well, with Lewis Hamilton bearing down. And on the 57th and final lap, Sergio Perez loses third place to Lewis Hamilton as his engine locks up and fails, with Charles Leclerc going on to win the Bahrain Grand Prix from teammate Carlos Sainz and Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton. It's Ferrari's first 1-2 since 2018, I believe. Kevin Magnussen,
2019.
2019. Kevin Magnussen gets fifth for Haas. Guan Yu Zhou gets points on his debut. Charles Leclerc named driver of the day and also got the fastest lap
And McLaren's suffering finally ended.
of the race.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So,
You know, one quick interesting thing I want to say: the pit stops. Everyone did 3 pit stops.
except
Oh,
for Mick Schumacher and Pierre Gasly. And Max Verstappen did 4.
Yeah. And I know they all would have done the third because, like, the safety car, but I think there was still a lot of teams that were actually going to go the 3-stop.
Lando Norris was trying to one stop. And
I think
that
they were-
fucking spectacularly failed.
I think
Yeah.
they were going to try and do the same thing with Hamilton and Russell.
Yes.
And
They were, and then they were like, abort.
yeah, these tyres ain't working. Okay. Hamilton with his... he's taken 2 corners with the new tyres. Oh, Bono, I've got no grip. There's 2 friggin' corners.
Well, he was sideways and Zhou Guan Yu got under him, so he had every right to complain, I guess.
that's a Hamilton problem, not a fucking...
It's an everybody problem. Did you notice in qualifying everyone was doing a second outlap to get heat in the tyres?
Mm.
The new 18-inch tyres don't warm up as well as the old ones.
And they're getting rid of tyre blankets in the next couple of years.
They're thinking about it, but if tyres are this cold and this hard to heat up already, they may not.
Yeah.
Right, so the first news item that happened was that Sebastian Vettel had to pull out because he'd contracted COVID. So Nico Hulkenberg filled in for Vettel at Aston Martin. How do you think Hulkenberg went?
Well, he out-qualified Stroll, so that was a good start.
But then Stroll outdid him in the race.
Yeah.
The start of his weekend was good. The Grand Prix wasn't so kind to him, but he qualified well. He was up there in practice, considering he hadn't sat in the 22 car before this weekend. I think it was an admirable enough performance from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a show stealer like Kevin Magnussen. I mean, Kevin Magnussen really had a... it was almost a fairy tale.
Yeah, he's blown everything away. Like, every thought you could have had of him coming back, he's
it's
just blown
almo-
out the water.
It's almost like this year's Haas has actually shown what K-Mag can do.
Yep.
I mean, we were sitting here saying we can't believe this fucking Haas is this bad after they sat back and spent every resource token on it. Then it comes out on race day, and you know what? It's not that bad.
No.
It's actually pretty fucking good.
It's gone from not being able to get on the track in practice to 5th.
Fifth.
I said in the other one, I said, if after the second pre-season test in Bahrain,
The non-secretive
and
one.
they started looking better, I said, this year I reckon they might get a race where they could finish 5th or, like a top 6. And Magnussen's done it in the first race without any anything going on for him to be there. He's done it on pure ability and driver.
There were 2 Red Bulls that dropped out.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah,
Mick
It would have been.
Schumacher...
It would have been P7 had the Red Bulls
Yeah.
finished,
Okay, true.
which is
it-
still points.
yeah.
And I mean, Mick Schumacher was within an inch of getting points as well.
Yeah, with the Red Bulls dropping out,
Yeah.
or else he would have been 13th.
I guess the
14th.
impressive thing, though, is still that, okay, it might have been 7th, not 5th, but he done it on the merit of his driving and the car,
Yes.
not, 5 cars crashing or, cars spinning out in front of him and him taking advantage or some kind of safety car shenanigans. He just did it on pure ability.
Yeah, I mean, when the chips were down at the end of the race, he was there on pure ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
And I
point.
mean, half of motor racing is luck. Half
What's
of it
Michael-
is skill,
what's
half
Michael
of it is luck.
Schumacher saying? To finish first you have to finish.
Yeah.
That's motor racing.
Yeah, according to Michael Massey. It's a
I mean,
motor
look
race.
at the luck Hamilton got this race. I mean,
Yeah, he was
5th until the last 3 laps.
Yeah.
And then both Red Bulls are out of the race and he gets a podium.
Yeah.
And Red Bull get no points and they're,
And Toto was gloating after the race about how he's got more points than Red Bull.
And the salty Lewis fans are like sticking it to Max, realizing that the next race in Jeddah, Max's fucking Lewis won't be anywhere to be fucking seen.
Yeah. Right, so the next point, next racing item, is the key points from the FIA Abu Dhabi report. from
Yeah.
last year's Abu Dhabi race.
Considering this thing came through from like December, it's now March. And
Yeah.
this is their conclusions after all of that.
3 months
So
3 months.
to find out what we probably already knew.
Which we already knew.
and these are the points, like the key points from the brief. But people who have actually read the entire brief have actually said that it doesn't actually point the finger at Michael Massey. They found it was just the perfect storm of...
The way their rules are written.
There had
and-
to be a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Someone's head had to roll.
Toto Wolff asked for one. Mercedes asked for one, and they
Lewis
get what they
Hamilton jumped
They,
up and down to get one.
They appeased the Germans and fucking...
They appeased Lewis Hamilton
and Toto Wolff.
Yeah.
and Toto Wolff.
And Mercedes as a whole.
Yeah,
And fucking Massey's head rolled.
yeah.
Rightly or wrongly.
But he hasn't been fired. He's actually going to another racing discipline.
Right. Do we know which one?
Don't know.
Okay.
But so the first key point is that previous discussions that made clear the Formula One stakeholders, which is the FIA, Formula One, the teams and the drivers, preference to end races under a green flag racing conditions. So
There you go.
everyone wanted races to finish under a green flag rather than behind a safety car.
It's the last lap of the closest championship in
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah.
And you know,
A decade, at least.
everyone can sit there and point their finger and say, "Oh, that was because of Drive to Survive." I don't think Drive to Survive has that much pull in what happens. I think that
No.
was
Drive to Survive doesn't have pull if the world champion doesn't want to be on it, and he's not on it.
Exactly right. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't think it was designed for Drive to Survive.
It wasn't. We wanted the championship to end under racing. Everyone did.
Everyone except for Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton.
We said how
That's right.
anticlimactic would the championship be if
Yeah.
it finished under safety car.
Yeah,
And as racing purists, we just wanted a wheel-to-wheel race to the flag, and that's what we got.
Well, yeah, we got
Yeah.
the best finish we could ask for possible.
yeah,
At the end
because
of the day. And
a championship being decided under a safety car would have just felt like a most anticlimactic and greatest slap in the face.
It's
for,
like
for
watching...
that fight, like
Yeah.
considering how
Yeah.
close they were. If it was a year where Hamilton was, already won, no one would care. But for how close it was, no one wanted it to finish under safety car.
No.
No one.
Yeah. So the next point is results are valid, final, and cannot now be changed.
So there's going to be no appeals to the high courts after
Yeah.
races anymore.
Specifically about that result,
Yeah.
meaning that no Toto Wolff and Lewis
No more
can't jump
bitching.
up and down and say Max should hand over the championship. He is the champion. He has number one on his car. That's it.
That was decided pretty much almost a week after that race.
Yeah.
Like, once the high court said we're not going to overturn it,
Yeah.
Dropped
that
it.
was done there. Like,
Yeah.
there was no outside chance of Max being posthumously,
And
that's probably the
it
wrong word,
kind
stripped.
it kind of makes Lewis Hamilton's little gesture of, "Oh, I don't want to pursue it." It kind of undoes that. Like, it was, they made the decision and then he went, "Oh, well, I don't want to pursue it any further." Well, you kind of sitting there saying, "Oh, we got beaten, so I'll make myself look like the bigger hero and not do any more about it."
Well, he couldn't have done anything more about it. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That's what this ruling is saying. It doesn't matter. You couldn't have done anything more.
Yeah.
You can't now. It's closed. The book
Yeah.
is closed.
Yeah, case is closed.
Yep.
Human error led to the fact that not all cars were allowed to unlap themselves.
I always think back to this because that was a 58-lap race from memory.
Yes.
And lap 56, I wonder what would have happened if lap 56 cars were allowed to unlap themselves. I reckon we would have gone green fairly and squarely by lap 57. And
Yeah.
none of this shit would have happened, but I think the tractor was still on
Yeah.
the track at that stage.
Yeah. And have you read the way the rule is written for unlapping? It was written in a way where you could judge it the way Massey judged it in a sense.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, he gets final say, and it's about safety. You know, if you throw in all the factors and the way it was written, it's like, I wouldn't even really call it human error. I would just call it his interpretation. And if you read the top thing there, saying previous discussions that made clear, blah, 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 we want green flag racing, he made those decisions to allow that to happen, as that was the previous discussions that were made clear to all the stakeholders, aka FIA, F1 teams and drivers. So at the end of the day, it's like, was it human error, or was he using his ability to fix the problem on track, which is what he's meant to do safety-wise, and then secondly, to get us back into green flag conditions? I mean, call it, you know, it unfair to Hamilton or whatever. You can go on that debate for forever, but if you look at it like that, I wouldn't call it human error. I think they're calling it human error because they've sacked or they've gotten rid of Massey to appease Mercedes, and they need to make it look more like they did it for not that reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Even though, like I said before, the FIA has in no way actually pointed the finger directly at Massey and said he was completely responsible. And I mean, there was, all through the season, there was issues of this, that, and the other happening, and Michael Massey wasn't calling stuff or was a bit too harsh on things. So it's human. It is human error, you know, but it wasn't purposeful.
Yeah.
The second last one, the final lap radio messages between Red Bull, Mercedes, and Michael Massey had a negative impact on final laps and were a distraction for the race director.
I agree.
That's clear.
Particularly from Toto Wolff.
Yeah, from all of them. And they did it all year, so they can't sit there and point out and go, it was just that last decision. Like, you did it all year.
What they pointed at was when Christian Horner got on and he said, Michael, we only need one racing lap. Which goes back to the first point saying, we have a preference to end races under green flag conditions.
Right.
And Christian, by hook or by whatever, by proxy fucking gently, subtly reminded him of that fact.
Yeah.
We only need one racing lap.
Yeah.
So Michael Massey did what he could, which was, and by the guidelines, because the rule was written, any lapped cars can unlap themselves. Not all, any.
Yep.
To his choosing, which were the cars between first and second that he chose.
That's right. He gets the say on that.
That had enough time to get around safely.
Yep. To get a green flag condition.
To get a green flag condition finish to the championship, which is what the stakeholders wanted.
And this is what also adds to it being a mistake by Mercedes and Hamilton, because they would have been aware of that, and that they were so arrogant that they thought they could finish under a safety car and had it in the bag, that they didn't pit for tyres or anything like that. But they knew that.
It
the
sounds
preference
bad.
was
It
green
sounds
flag.
bad that, you know, Christian's like, oh, we only need one racing lap. But I think that's exactly what Christian was reminding him of.
That's right.
It's like, there is a possibility to finish this race under green flag conditions.
That's what we all prefer as
and that's what we
stakeholders.
got.
Yeah, that's right.
And fans, we're not stakeholders, but we pay ticket money to, and I'd fork out $25 a month for KO, so I can watch Formula One racing.
Yeah.
And $80 a year for F1 TV.
Yep.
I'm essentially a stakeholder in the sport.
We all are.
We
100%,
all are.
100%. Yep.
We got what we wanted, which was a green flag finish.
Yeah,
And
I think
Mercedes should have known that. So
even if Lewis had held on and won the championship, it's still what I would have preferred.
Yeah, I think particularly the Lewis Hamilton fanboys online, they seem to forget that they're not the only people that watch F1. You know, Lewis Hamilton is not the only driver in F1. This is a sport. People sit there and say, oh, this has had a negative effect on Formula One. You know what would have had a bigger negative effect on Formula One? Is if the race finished under a safety car and Lewis Hamilton won his 8th championship.
yeah,
Because no one would have watched this year. People would have switched it off and gone, fuck this noise,
Because
I'm
then
sick of Lewis
Because
Hamilton.
then the fucking war starts. It's just like, oh, if that race went green, Max would have fucking got him.
No one would want to even remember the turbo hybrid era.
No one
if
would
this
want to
didn't happen.
remember 2021 if that was the ending.
Well, no
Yeah.
one would remember the previous, like I said, the whole turbo hybrid era, because it was literally just a Mercedes wank fest.
I
Like,
still go back now, 4 months later, and watch that last lap.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I still go back and watch it because
I like going back and watching fan reactions to it, particularly the Verstappen fanboy reactions, and particularly the Australian Verstappen fanboy reactions.
like us at 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning,
Max,
Sitting there-
super Max.
It's 2 in the morning on Monday. We've all got to go to work, but
Yeah.
here we are,
We were there, yeah.
screaming at our TVs and punching pillows and trying not to wake housemates and babies up because of the finish Michael Massey gave us.
yeah.
Yep. Which is the finish that all the stakeholders previously discussed and made clear that that's what they wanted. So the fact that Mercedes can complain enough to then get him sacked, you should just be going, look, okay, it's human error and you can discuss everything else, but look, we want to finish under green flag. That's what we're aiming to do as all our stakeholders here. So you shouldn't push against that. If we've all agreed in previous discussions, that's what we want. And like you were saying, JB, that's what Horner was reminding him of. Then Mercedes should know that. It's not like a blind side to them that this has happened and, oh my God, we've been done over. Like, you're aware. You want to finish on green flag.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it kind of undoes what Hamilton was saying at the end of the race, where he's like, oh, it was manipulated.
yeah.
Well, fucking, you're one of the drivers, right, that made it clear that Formula One stakeholders preference to end races under a green flag condition. You're a driver. You went for that.
Yeah, and even,
let's-
let's say they didn't want to go for that. It's clearly been voted in, and majority wants that, and you've got to go with majority. That's how a sport works. It's
Yeah, well,
not Mercedes.
It's like
a
on
sport.
It's like on Drive to Survive when the evaluating Lewis's car after the Monza crash, and Toto's sitting there going, "Oh, I voted against the Halo. Thank God I was outvoted."
Thank God he was.
It's like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
You motherfucker, Toto. You sat there and voted for against something that saved a whole bunch of people's lives. Yeah, if we had had that Halo system when Jules Bianchi was driving, he
possibly be
would have
alive.
survived. If we had that Halo system back in 1994, Senna would have survived. You know,
But
even going all the
remember-
way back to the 70s, like in the Rush movie when old mate gets decapitated because he goes through the barrier.
Yes.
He would have
Yeah,
survived.
he would have survived. And yet you voted against it. Why? Why? What? I can't even understand what his logic was.
Look, he wasn't alone in his logic, though. Roman Grosjean didn't want the Halo, and his life got saved by the Halo.
Yeah.
Roman Grosjean was openly against the Halo. He wasn't the only one.
Lucky he didn't win. Hey.
Yeah.
And fucking, he would be dead right now if he didn't have a Halo.
Yeah. I bet he's changed his fucking
He
tone.
did, and so did Toto. Like, Toto openly
Oh,
Oh,
said...
everyone has. I think
he's
it's
like,
unanimous
he's like,
now. It's
thank God, because the Halo was taking away the purity of open wheel, open cockpit racing. That was the logic behind it. And yeah, the purists were probably right.
Yeah, well,
It takes away an element of the danger. But
Yeah, but we don't want that.
Clearer-
Like, it's dangerous enough without them getting
clearer
their
heads
heads cut off,
prevailed. We now have a Halo. Roman Grosjean's alive now thanks to the Halo. And, you know,
It's still open.
Lewis Hamilton didn't get a Red Bull on his head
Yeah, he's alive because
because of the Halo.
see, to me, the sort of system that IndyCar has, if the purists sat there and said it ruins the thing of open wheel racing or whatever, I could agree with that with IndyCar. I mean, having a big screen in front of you that sort of diminishes open cockpit racing. It's no longer open cockpit.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Whereas the Halo system, you still have the open cockpit.
Yeah.
But you've got the protection above your head. But at the same time, like, I mean, I can sit here and say, oh, you know, the IndyCar one, you know, purists, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you know, no one wants to bury another Senna or Jules Bianchi.
I mean, we
Yeah.
understand it's dangerous. The drivers understand it's dangerous. We understand at any given point during a race, someone could die. But that doesn't mean we don't want to lessen those chances or see deaths. Like, I don't want to see anyone die.
No.
But if it happens, I understand it's part of the sport. But if something like the Halo, how many preventable deaths has it prevented just in the last few years? And you go, yeah, I can take that over being a purist and having, not having the Halo. Like, it's, to me, I just go, it's a no-brainer. Like, it doesn't take away
Alonso's McLaren going over the top of Chalbier's fucking Sauber at Spa. That's another one we forgot.
Well, I mean, a great man once said, 20% risk.
Yeah.
That's, in my pathetic attempt at a Nicky Lauda accent.
And the risk is still there. It just means that more drivers are going to survive big crashes because of this Halo, and I'm all for that.
Yeah. And the final point was apparent from the analysis that there could be different interpretations of Article 48.12.12 and Article 48.13 of the Formula One sporting regulations, and that this likely contributed to the applied procedure.
And that points to the wording of any
Yeah.
lapped cars, and probably the one about the race director having control of when the safety car comes in.
Well, you can see now how Michael Massey got to that. You can see, if you line this all up, you can 100% see why he made the decisions he's made. You could call it human error, but I look at it and I go, the FIA has let him down in allowing team principals to bitch to him, to have that green flag, you have all these things in place. He's a human. So sure, it's human error, but he hasn't been given the best tools to do the job, if that makes sense.
Well,
that's led to the decision happening. So
did you know, because they had the Turkey F1 last year, didn't they?
Yes.
It had a safety car, didn't it?
I'm pretty sure it was wet, so...
No, that was the year before.
Turkey was wet last year.
Was it? Because Turkey the previous year was drenched.
No, I think Turkey last year was dry.
Yeah, it might have been, but didn't they just relay the track or something?
That was 2020.
Yeah, it was 2020.
It was wet, and none of the cars had grip. That was a cool race.
Yeah. Well, in 2021, there was still a safety car, and Michael Massey copped a little flack because he turned the safety car light off, and the tractor was still on the track.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't given all the information.
Accidents happen, but I think we've come to the conclusions. Like, Michael Massey had a chance to finish the championship under green flag, and there was only one way he was going to be able to do that, and that's I can only let the 5 cars between Lewis and Max go. That's all I can do with the lap and a half remaining.
Yeah.
And I can send, and there's still enough time to me to tell the safety car to fucking peel in at the end of lap 2.
I still maintain that the FIA and Mohammed Ben Solo, whatever his name is, he's gotten one rule wrong for me. I still maintain that it should be one-way traffic from the FIA race director to the teams.
100%.
I don't think the teams should be able to push a button and go, hey, Mikey, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It should be what comes from the race director, goes to the teams, and that's it.
And that's what should have happened after the fact that we're still talking about this. That should have been made very clear. Everyone should have asked for that. Like, the fact that they said they were going to take that out and now they've brought it back, I go, what are you doing? Like, we've had this whole fiasco over, who's in the right, who's in the wrong. And we all agreed that we can't have lap radio message between, it says right there, but a negative impact. So why have we allowed it back?
Yeah.
I really don't understand that one.
It just seems like it's another thing to appease Toto.
It should just be the most clear-cut thing out of what they found out of this is, okay, we'll cut that off. That's straight up.
Yeah.
Most clear-cut thing to fix this from not happening again, before you fix the way it was written, before you investigate anything, you go, okay, let's not put the race director under pressure by the team principals yelling at him to get their way, because that's all they're going to do, and let's cut that off and let them focus on doing their job. It's the most easy decision to make out of this whole situation, and they haven't done that. It's confusing to me.
And the whole season was Toto on the blower to Michael. It was Christian Horner on the blower to Michael. You know what teams hardly spoke to Michael during a race?
The rest of them.
Yeah, everyone else.
Specifically, McLaren and Ferrari.
I'm sure they did. It just
We
wasn't
probably just don't
broadcast.
hear it. Yeah, at the end they will.
I think that those two teams have been around long enough where if something happens on track, they can just sit there and go, "Oi, you took the position off the track, hand it back over." They didn't need Michael Massey to have to tell them what to do, unless it was something that they missed. Yeah, they didn't need to be pushed, and they didn't need to push because they're experienced enough to know what's what and who's who.
I heard a rumor that was the way they were going to run the rules too. If someone overtook someone off the track, they were going to let the team sort it out.
Oh, you can't do that.
You can't do that. It's like fucking. It's like having NRL players fucking make their own interpretations of rules during play.
Yeah.
It's not going to fucking work. Like, what race driver is going to overtake a car rightly or wrongly
Yeah.
and then give the place
Give
back,
it back, yeah,
without fucking being directly told to give the place back? No one.
Like, go back to Bahrain last year when
No.
Verstappen had to. He's not giving that back.
No.
Like, I like Max. I think he's a fair racer, but he's not giving that back unless he gets told to.
Lewis isn't giving the fucking advantage in Abu Dhabi back.
No.
I mean, he didn't, but he
Yeah,
did.
that.
Yeah, it's
And they clearly show, like, he's up the road, Christian's on the blower saying, "Michael, what's the go?" "Oh, he gave the advantage back." No, he fucking didn't. I
Max
agreed
Versta-
with Christian Horner
Max
on that.
Verstappen was beside him when he went off the track, so if he had to get the position back,
He should
they
be
should have
back
been
beside him.
drag racing down the front straight.
Yeah, exactly right.
Lewis is like an eighth of a second ahead, and it's like, yeah, that's his lasting advantage is fucking still almost a second.
Yeah. So, look, I think Michael Massey did have to go.
Really?
I think
Only because he was the scapegoat.
I don't.
I don't think he had to go.
No, I was.
I think he
hoping
had to
for-
come back with a reset set of regulations.
Yes, better tools, and given an opportunity to do it a year without the negative, without all this crap here, with all
Yeah.
this fixed. Give him 1 year. If he's still poor, given all those tools, then remove him. Because the alternative we've got is two guys swapping, and
Now
what
it's
we
going to be
wanted,
inconsistent.
yeah, what we
Yeah.
wanted after last year was consistency. That's what we
Yeah.
wanted, and I feel like we're going to go into an era of just as much inconsistency. I mean, as was stated, we've been talking earlier. This race inside the white lines is on the track. Outside the white lines, your lap gets deleted or whatever. In qualifying, I watched Perez do it. Nothing happened, but then Yuki Tsunoda gets picked up. It's like that's so black and white. It's quite simple. Did he go off over the white line or not?
It's either it works for one or it works for none.
That's right.
You can't
Exactly right.
you can't pick and choose who loses a lap. Like,
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
And that seems to be what's happening. And after last year, I thought we were going to go more black and white and fix that stuff. And it seems to be we haven't. Like, we were going to ban talking. Now radio messages are back. We've got two different race directors swapping. Are you setting yourself up for an even worse year of inconsistencies? Like, what are we going to get this year after what you had last year? Like,
we've got this whole report right here in front of us with basically picking apart Michael Massey's interpretation of the rule. Now we've got two guys' interpretations of the same rules.
Yeah.
Depending on what racetrack you're at.
yep.
But the
What if there's a race this year where someone has to hand a position back with fucking Quidditch? Widditch? What's his name?
Yeah,
Widditch?
Widditch. I think.
Quidditch.
Quidditch will do.
You're a seeker, Harry.
And the bad guy from Too Fast, Too Furious.
And Edward Freitas
Yeah.
fucking says he wants his cutter back,
Yeah.
but you can keep the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's also left his cigar and a Ferrari in the boat impound yard.
yeah, so Tyrese can punch in a window of a Ferrari.
With
You
the open-
fucking idiot!
With the open door.
He punches in the window of a Ferrari, then jumps back into his Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Too
Jesus.
fast.
It's such a
Too
fucking...
furious.
Go back, it's like it's a fucking convertible Mitsubishi Eclipse. You faggot.
I actually watched the thing about that car. Originally, the interior, because it was just purple and it had like a spider web on it or something, and the interior was yellow. And Tyrese saw it and said, I ain't driving no Lakers car. And then he saw the tyres, because the tyres were a lot smaller. And he said, no, it's got to be 18-inch rims. And they put the 18-inch rims on it, and the thing could barely take a fucking corner.
It's an eclipse.
And then, like, the actors were given the option to keep the car after the shoot. And Tyrese went, hell no, I don't want it. So the guy who did the cars for the movie, also did the cars for the first one, he kept it.
I'm sure he looked real pimpin' going around LA in his convertible Mitsubishi.
Well, his the Evo that Paul Walker
the
drove.
Evo was nice.
Yeah.
The Evo was his, as was the Skyline.
Yeah, the Skyline was nice too.
Skyline's
Yeah.
nice, yeah.
He should have kept the Skyline for the whole movie. I don't know why he had to
And
drive the fucking...
The Skyline he had in the second one.
Welcome to the F1 podcast, by the way.
Welcome to the Fast and Furious chat.
The Skyline that Paul Walker drove in the second one was a B car of the Skyline that one of the B characters in the first one drove.
Right.
Same as the gold Mazda RX-7 at the start of the second one. That
Hector.
yeah,
Yeah.
was the B car of Vin Diesel's one in the first one.
I just remember Hector from Prison Break, and then I just see him in Too Fast, Too Furious. It's like,
He's in
you're
the-
Wentworth Miller's fucking cellmate.
He's the fourth guy. He was in the fourth Underworld movie as well.
They made 4 of those.
They made 5 of them,
Yeah.
and only 4 of them have
At
Kate
least,
Beckinsale.
at least the lead chick was hot.
Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's the Abu Dhabi report.
Fast and Furious.
do, do, do,
Right.
do, do, do.
Tokyo Drift. I can't watch that movie now because of the shoes.
If you ain't first, you're last.
The shoes.
Yeah, the slippers.
Wabaki.
Yes.
Little sis, if you're listening. How you going, Becky?
I'll tell her that we name dropped her in this. She'll probably ignore me. Oh, hang on. We're a bit far ahead. No, I didn't put them in. Okay. Right, so. The next news story. It's not really a news story. I kind of wanted to get a little bit of an analysis. So we're gonna start with Mercedes. What the hell is going on at Mercedes with their car?
Whatever it
Seems to
was,
still
they
have-
fixed it.
Yeah, mostly. They were still saying, I reckon they were still having a bit of problem with the porpoising effect. But it
Twerking.
seems way better than testing. Like, they're a bit off the pace, but
They're off the pace in terms of outright speed. In fact,
Yeah.
all the Mercedes power unit cars are
Yeah.
off the pace in terms of speed.
well, they're all at the bottom, and all the
Yeah.
Ferrari power units are at the top.
Yeah, but in terms of porpoising, something they did in third practice session, because I was watching it, they solved it, and then all of a sudden Lewis Hamilton went from like 8th to like 3rd, and then they were just straight on the radio, and they're like, yeah, we fixed it.
Yeah.
I think they might have raised the ride height.
I don't know what they did, but whatever they did, they found a workaround, and it
Yeah, it's definitely fixed from what it was doing.
definitely worked.
McLaren. What's going on with McLaren?
Seems to be more than brakes, doesn't it?
I don't know.
Who
I
knows
don't
what it
know.
is.
They
I don't know
won't-
how you
they
can look
won't
as
say.
all right as they were looking in testing and then come out this horrible.
I think it's a combination of the Mercedes power unit is not where it should be.
And you think they don't trust the brakes?
And yeah, I don't think they trust the brakes
I fucking don't have an answer.
because
They won't say. I tried. I looked everywhere, and whatever the problem is, and it's more than one,
Yeah.
they're not being very specific about it.
because I saw an interview with Andreas Seidel, team principal at McLaren, and he was saying, yeah, we've changed out the brakes for a temporary temporary fix. I think they've gone with a steel brake rather than
Carbon.
rather than carbon brakes.
Yeah,
this weekend.
they said it was an interim fix.
Yeah,
And then Lando was saying something like, "We know what the problem is, but it's not an overnight fix."
yeah.
Meaning whatever it is going to be the same issue in Jeddah.
I think it'll be the same issue in Australia as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be maybe 3 or 4 races before they can bring the upgrade and try and fix whatever the hell it is. Because most cars were complaining about brakes overheating.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like the way this aero package is now laid out, but a lot of these cars struggled with brake temperatures, front brake temperatures especially. I don't know if it's just because it was Bahrain related.
I think Bahrain has something to do with it.
I think the temperatures probably have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, when you're in the Middle East, it doesn't help, does it?
But
And those bubble things.
the domes,
The domes.
What's in the dome?
What's
What's in
in
the
the
dome?
the dome is an event tent.
For those of you who don't know, the whole race, Jamie wanted to know what was in those domes.
What's
on
in
the side of
the
the
domes on the outside of the last corner? And I finally figured out it's an event tent. It's rather underwhelming. I thought it was something cool.
Yeah, I was hoping it was
No,
something
it's
cool.
literally
like-
just a big event tent.
It's like we spent a lot of the race going, what's Vella's? The sponsor for Ferrari. I Googled it and it came up with Vella's Fish and Chip Shop on Sydney.
Fellas
Best
Fish
chips in
Market.
Formula
Best
One.
fish and chips in Mactown. Sydney Street, Mackay.
There's a shout
Yeah.
out.
Shout out, fellas.
As opposed to the other Vellas that accidentally put drain cleaner in their vinegar.
That'll
years ago.
give it some kick.
Yeah, they got in trouble. The
Oh,
fun,
shit.
I hope they got in trouble.
They got in trouble. No shit.
yeah, but the funny thing was that
Fuck.
I hope Michael
tried-
Massey wasn't in charge of that investigation. though.
Tried to fucking... It took the FIA 4 months to come back with their findings.
they found there was a slight variance in the vinegar.
The interpretation of the chemicals. Article 38.3 says there shouldn't be any poisons in the kitchen.
The vinegar should be slightly acidic, not a lot acidic.
People should not be dying, violently vomiting whilst eating their chips.
Well, the funny thing about it was that so this was the North Mackay Vellas that got it. That
We're
put
throwing
the
them under the bus live on Spotify.
yes.
And YouTube.
And people were calling up Sydney Street One, abusing them, going, "How can you do it?" They're like, "We're not like they're owned by someone else. Like we're not related."
Which is bad because previous discussions had made clear that the stakeholders, the fish and chip shop, and the customers preferred to eat their fish and chips without chemicals in it.
Human error led to the fact that not all chips were covered in regular vinegar.
And the
But
result, the results of the chips are valid, final, and cannot now be changed.
The final message between the cooks was, "Did you put the vinegar on that chips?"
We are in no way sponsored by Vella's Fish and Chips.
Not anymore.
Moving right along to the next team.
Fuck, this has been some tangents tonight.
At least we haven't got into Mike Crack yet.
Oh, we're killing it.
Stop.
Right, so the next team, Red Bull. What the hell happened with Red Bull?
Well, they looked good. It was just, as we also discussed previously, reliability. It cost them tonight, but pace, they look good.
Yeah, they just didn't have reliability.
Well, you said that their weakness would be the power unit, and it was definitely the power unit on Sergio's car,
Yep.
Yeah.
but I don't think it was pure. It was eventually the power unit on Max's car, but we also think they had suspension issues as well.
Yeah, they dropped the car down too hard
Um,
after pit
so-
stop.
Yeah, the last pit stop that the third pit stop
Yep.
that Verstappen had, they dropped the car too hard and cracked the suspension, which is what caused his steering issues.
Yeah. So
But I think it was an engine issue that finally put him out of his misery.
and not forgetting that all three of those DNFs, 2 Red Bulls and 1 AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
all of them engine related.
Yeah.
So if you were absolutely spot on the fucking money.
Yeah, well, it just screamed of 1998 Williams when they were running the Mechachrome engines. Yeah,
I
they
mean,
lost,
I
they
think
lost Renault because Renault dropped out, so they were using rebadged Renault engines that were badged as Mechachrome.
Yeah.
And the failure rate of Williams that year was just astonishing.
Do you think they're going to have a high failure rate, or do you think this is something they'll get on top of?
I don't think it'll be as high, but there's going to be a high failure rate.
Oh, yeah, so you reckon it's going to be like quite championship deciding?
I'm thinking more like McLaren in, I think it was 2000 or 2001, where they've got a really solid engine, and when it works, they'll be on song. But you're going to have occasional race weekends where it's going to pop, and it will cost them the championship.
Yeah. I think it's more heartbreaking too because Max was 3 laps from the end, who was going to finish a clear second or probably challenge for the win.
Yeah.
And Sergio was literally the last lap where he was going to hold Lewis off for third.
Yeah, which we
Like-
all wanted to see.
And I think that's the more heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I mean, how good was the fight between Leclerc and Verstappen?
Oh, it was awesome.
And
And
the,
it'll be back on next weekend.
and the fact that after the race, while Charles Leclerc was doing an interview, Max Verstappen went up to him and said, "I really enjoyed that. That was an awesome fight." And they showed respect.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's going to happen all year.
And it's almost the polar opposite of last year, where Lewis Hamilton was like, "Oh, he pushes it beyond the edge, and I drive like this." And
Yeah, because Hamilton's not used to a challenge.
Yeah.
You know?
he's used to almost a gimme championship.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly
There's
right.
a YouTuber named Aidan Millward who I name drop a fair bit. He did a video last week where he went through every championship from the first one in 1950 all the way to 2021 and put an asterisk beside every championship where there was someone on Twitter who would have gone, he won the championship because of, not because he was the best driver, but because something happened. Like 1976, James Hunt was world champion because of Niki Lauda's accident.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, or 2021, Max Verstappen was world champion because of Michael Massey.
Yeah.
You know, or 2002, Michael Schumacher was world champion because someone at Bridgestone conveniently spotted there was something funny about the Michelin tyres that they'd been running for 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and it's amazing how many championships.
2008, Lewis Hamilton was world champion because of
Timo Glock, yeah, he
Timo
was on
Glock.
the list.
Yeah.
He was on the list.
Yeah.
Kimi Räikkönen, 2007, was world champion because of Fernando Alonso's bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Formula One, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sebastian Vettel was world champion in 2010 because of Christian Horner's bullshit towards Mark Webber.
Yeah. Or 2009, Jenson Button was world champion because of a double diffuser.
Yeah.
You know, every...
Thank God Twitter's only been around.
Yeah, that's it.
And you just look at it and go, there's a lot of people who could invent reasons why someone's world champion, but
100%.
they're world champion. Too fucking late.
Exactly right. Exactly
Results are valid, final, and cannot now be changed.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, so
It's done.
how good is that Ferrari though?
Oh,
Like
They are
that is a beast. Like I'm not trying to rub it into to Johnny. I'm trying to do like a proper analytical thing here.
no, you're right. It is clearly the best, the car with the best pace and reliability, like the whole package. They're clearly the best package car this year. They seem to have everything together. They don't seem to be having any teething problems. They just seem to have it dialed in, ready to go. They're 1-2, and I just don't see it stopping from here. I think they're just going to continue this
they're in
the
for a
rest of the
good
year.
scrap with Red Bull, but
Yes.
I think Red Bull's reliability will let them down.
Yeah.
I think the bigger, more interesting thing is going to be the battle between Leclerc and Sainz. As in,
The bigger, more interesting thing is I had no fucking spare money to put on Carlos Sainz to win the World Championship because he's legitimately in with a chance to win it.
and we said it on the last
I
pod.
wanted to put I had no spare money to put in my sportsbet account
Yeah,
because
I think
now I reckon his fucking price has dropped like a rock.
Yeah.
I think Leclerc's going to win it. I think Leclerc's going to win the belt.
I'll be honest, I underestimated Cleo.
Oh, so
I
did
still
I.
think Sainz is
I still
the
think
better
he's
driver, but after seeing this, I think I underestimated how good Leclerc can be. But I still stand by what I said the other week, that there might still be some races where Leclerc bins it when he shouldn't, and Sainz will be consistent and keep taking points. So there might be a race where Leclerc bins it in
Remember
first, and
Leclerc
Sainz
bended
takes it.
at Jeddah last year too,
Yes, that's what I mean.
Monaco.
and he bonded at Monaco.
Bended
He's
at
And that
on
was
track.
Monaco.
all on his own. That was all
Yeah.
on his own.
He's
Where-
got every chance to win that race this year, like convincingly.
I think he's going to bin it at Monaco again.
yeah.
I don't think he's ever actually finished Monaco.
We said last week how he doesn't respond to pressure well.
He did today.
He's leading the championship now. How is he going to respond to pressure when it starts?
Look,
getting...
I don't think it's so much pressure that he can't handle. I think it's he's just inconsistent, and that's what he's got to fix up. He's got to be consistent.
I think it's what you said before, Phil, where you were saying, I can't remember who you said it, but someone analysed Sainz and Leclerc and said Leclerc's more flamboyant.
Yeah, that was Martin Brundle.
Yep. And was it Sainz was basically, the more consistent
Yeah.
work.
Carlos Sainz is very workmanlike.
Yep.
There's no frills about it. He shows up early at work. He goes home late from work. He puts the time in. There's nothing fancy about what he does. Everything he does on track, there's a purpose. There is a determination behind it.
Yep.
Charles Leclerc is a little bit more flamboyant. He drives a lot like Max Verstappen when it comes to wheel-to-wheel battle.
Yep.
Which is also how Lando Norris drives, George Russell drives, Yuki Tsunoda drives. I haven't seen enough of Zhou Guan Yu to say the same thing.
I don't know. He did pretty well today.
He showed it tonight that he might be up for that.
With Hamilton of all people.
And like Mick Schumacher drives like his old man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
got the pedigree there.
So it's very easy to see all these drivers and how they do battle,
Yeah.
particularly against the old guard,
It's completely different, isn't it?
because they're so used to you have to leave a space and you
Yeah.
have to do this
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
have to do that and all these gentleman agreements, and these young kids are like, fuck your gentleman's agreement, I want to win.
That's it.
And I think that's part of the reason why Lewis Hamilton has been so successful, is because he's been driving with these gentleman agreements, and now he's got new drivers coming through that are just like, nah,
Yeah. Fuck your old ways.
fuck your old ways.
I'm doing it my way, the new way, to win. And it happened. Verstappen won, so it's only more encouragement
Yeah.
for these younger drivers to drive in that fashion, because it's
And-
world champion material.
And that style of driving is 80s and 90s driving.
Yeah.
You know, that's Formula One world champion driving.
And these
Yep.
new cars are going to promote that style of driving
Yeah,
too.
and we saw it tonight.
Hamilton came out and said he wants to be a more aggressive driver,
He's going to have to
knowing that he's going to have to adapt to that style of driving because that's the style of driving these cars are going to suit the most.
and
Yep.
also because he knows he doesn't have the car underneath him.
And I think he's going to struggle a lot.
I
Yeah.
think he's going to be beaten. I think there's going to be a lot of drivers that are going to go one-on-one with him and beat him this year.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to happen a lot. I mean, as you were saying before, G.I. Zhao just took it to him and got the overtake, and I think it's going to happen a lot this year. A lot of different drivers.
Yeah. I mean, I want to see George Russell and Lewis Hamilton go wheel to wheel.
Yep. That'd be
I want to
interesting.
see that.
Honestly,
It'll
Bottas.
I mean, they're in equal machinery, so it all comes down to talent.
Yep. But getting back to the Sainz Leclerc thing, I think that's what is going to decide between them two who is going to be the world champion. Is Sainz is always going to be up there. He's going to be consistent. He's a clean driver. He finishes races, right? Which, was it Mick Schumacher says the first thing you're going to do to win is finish, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to play a huge part because he's going to always consistently collect points and be at the top. Leclerc is that one who's going to have that, a race like he did tonight where he leads from start to finish because he's out and out, the quickest driver. He can put it all together. But then there's going to be another day where he gets it wrong and it costs him the race.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to decide it, I think.
He and Max are very much all or nothing.
Yes.
Go big or go home.
Which is what you want to see, and
Yeah.
which and I think Leclerc should keep driving that way. I'm not saying it's the bad way to do it, but I think that's going to be the difference between them two at the end of the day.
And I think because they both have that driving style, where they're both sitting there going, we will do whatever it takes to get that position. It's going to make the championship really worth watching.
I mean, what happens if we get a certain way through the season, right? They're close on point. What happens if team orders come into it? Who do you think would react? Let's say it's Leclerc leading and Sainz gets told team orders. What do you think he does?
Sainz will do it.
Yep. Now flip it.
I
Do you think Leclerc will, or do you think Leclerc will go, nah, I'm going to win?
I think Leclerc will do it too.
Okay.
Because I think those two drivers have a lot of respect for each other. Like, they seem like they're really good mates.
They did. It was nice to see them embrace each other after the race.
And I mean, it happened a couple of times last year where Charles was told to move aside and let Carlos through, and he did it.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is last year they weren't fighting for a world champion. This year they might be. It brings in a different element to it. But I agree. I can see that. If one of them wasn't to, I think it would be more Leclerc than Sainz.
I think that might be one of the other differences between Ferrari and Red Bull. Red Bull have a clear number one and a clear number two.
Yeah.
Perez is the number two. He is the tail gunner, and he knows it. Ferrari, I think Matteo Binotto is going to let him fight.
Yes.
He's going to let him fight until Silverstone.
Until one of them pulls ahead enough that they go, okay, we've got the 1 and 2. Or, or you said, like you're saying, until somewhere like
whoever's
Silverstone.
ahead at Silverstone, he'll sit there and go, right, you're the number one, the other guy's number two.
Yep.
And I think they'll both respect that decision, particularly if there's a big points gap
Between them.
Yep. They'll sit there and go, okay, you're the number one, I'll be the number two, I'll be the tail gunner, let's go do this.
Yep, let's win this for Ferrari. Yep.
Because to those two drivers, driving in Ferrari is an honour.
Yeah.
Same as it's an honour for Lando Norris to be in McLaren. He sees, same as Danny Rick actually. Danny Rick sees it as an honour to be driving at McLaren.
Yeah. Well, it's just the history of the. I mean,
whereas Mercedes doesn't have that level of respect. It's a business. It's without sounding racist, so I'm going to sound racist. It's very German.
Yeah, win at all costs. Efficiency. Yeah, all that goes into it.
Yeah. Same with Red Bull.
Yeah, it's a machine. Yeah.
Whereas Ferrari it's passion.
Yeah.
It's passion. You want to be at Ferrari. You want to be at McLaren. Maybe you want to be at Williams, but maybe not.
I think going into the future, you want to be.
Going forward, you want to be at Williams.
Yeah.
But I mean, Williams has got to get rid of that Mercedes power unit.
And Latifi.
Yeah. I think best.
They need to have a real. I reckon coming up with the some of the drivers that could be on the market. I think they're going to have a real hot crack at trying to grab one if they can, like a Gasly even. Get a Gasly and Albon in the team and keep pushing forward the way they are.
I think they're more likely to get a Ricardo.
I think they are too, which I would take. But hopefully this drop in Ricardo's form.
I think they'll get Kvyat. I think they'll get Kvyat.
I don't think they'll bring him back in. I don't know. I think his time might be done, unfortunately.
I think they'll get Ricardo. I think Ricardo will.
I can see Ricardo as his last chance.
Yeah, if Ricardo keeps driving the way he's doing, they're going to tear up his contract a year early.
I don't think they'll tear it up a year early. I think he'll get the 3 years. He'll get to the end of next year.
It all depends on what he does this year, though.
No, I think they'll give him a stay of execution. He will get his third and final year of the contract.
Yeah, but they'll have his replacement lined up and he'll know it.
Yeah.
Everyone will know it. Like
he may not see out the third year, though. He may only see till Spa next year. If it's bad. If he drops off a cliff.
I have this sneaking suspicion that either Vettel or Hamilton's going to retire at the end of the year.
I think Vettel might,
I think Seb might. I don't know.
because Aston Martin doesn't seem to have much.
If the Mercedes doesn't... I mean, if Hamilton's going to keep finishing 5th all year...
Here's the one thing I'll say on that, though. Could it, how competitive Hamilton is, and I wouldn't actually even mind seeing it, could this like how he was saying he needs to now adjust to everyone else's driving style and be more aggressive, etc., etc. Could this reignite a spark in Hamilton to go, like his competitive nature, and go, okay, I've got to get good at this, and he might actually stick around for a few more years to try and overcome that. Do you think that will happen, or do you think he will go, finishing 5th all year and go, nah, bugger it, I've done everything?
I think if the car doesn't improve and it's not competitive, he'll call it a day.
Yep,
he's got enough ventures outside of Formula 1. He's got his
course.
clothing brand. He's got fucking...
I know, that's what I'm just saying.
Whatever
Do
he
you think
wants to be in.
he could be reignited in having to drive differently? Like that might be something for him to keep him going.
Oh,
Or do you
I
think
think-
he'll
For
go,
now, for the short term, yes.
I think the only thing that could reignite his passion for F1 is if he's in a ultra competitive car where he can walk away, 20 seconds down the road. If he doesn't get that, if he's barely fighting for a podium place, he's going to sit there and say, I'm not dominating, I'm not the greatest ever, and call it a day.
No,
And
he will want to see improvement in the Mercedes first.
What if he comes back to McLaren for Ricciardo
Could happen.
to
But
finish off?
it'd be a nice full circle moment. But his decision will hinge on how much Mercedes can improve. Probably even in the first half of this year. By the time we get to Spa, is the Mercedes competitive or not?
Yeah.
Because if he's still consistently finishing 5th because the Red Bulls don't have any more reliability issues, it's clearly the 2 Ferraris and the 2 Red Bulls, and then a drop back to the Mercedes.
Yeah.
If the Mercedes hasn't at least closed the gap by then, I think he'll start thinking about
Retirement.
hanging the gloves up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the question of who's going to get that seat. Because I know Pierre Gasly wants that seat.
He's done enough to earn that.
He has.
I keep thinking Ocon's going to get it.
I think Ocon, because he's got the link there.
Yeah.
This is where with Gasly, I just don't know where he deserves to go to another team. I just don't know which team it is.
He could go to McLaren.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind seeing Pierre Gasly partner with Lando Norris at McLaren.
Yeah.
They'd be a good driver pairing.
I think that's the spot for him to go if Ricciardo doesn't live up to his paycheck.
I think Alan Jones is right. Like, Daniel Ricciardo needs to knock off the shit.
And start driving.
Yeah. Like, it's all right being a class clown and everything, but when you're not doing on track. And last year he had the car underneath him because Lando Norris was doing all right.
Well, he won a race last year, so it was possible.
Yeah.
Let's keep in mind, boys, we're talking Ricciardo down, but he actually finished ahead of Lando Norris.
He did. He beat
in
his
this
teammates.
race
So yeah.
and started behind
18th.
him. Started behind him.
Yeah.
So we can talk him down, but the McLaren's not great at the moment. But he did start behind Lando and finish ahead of Lando.
And it sounded like
True.
he was having trouble. So the jury's still out on Ricciardo this year. He hasn't had the greatest start to the year with preparation, and obviously the car's not going great. So whether it's going to be him or the car that lets McLaren down this year, we still don't know. But yeah, it's just going to have to be a wait and see. But I do agree with, was it Alan Jones's comment basically saying to him, he keeps saying, I'm trying to learn the car, basically saying cut that out, like it's time to drive, like you've had your time to learn, now it's time to start driving. Is that what he was saying?
Yeah.
Alan Jones?
Yeah.
Not so much on his flamboyant, but more just enough of the, I'm still learning, getting to grips with, that
Enough
what
of
he's
the
saying
excuses.
it's on you now to just pull it together, Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, if he doesn't pony up, I mean, Gasly, Piastri.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who'd want that seat.
There's a lot of young drivers coming through that got the talent to appear to be, look at Oscar Piastri. Seems like one of the best talents to come through in recent years. He doesn't have a seat right now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of drivers with similar-ish talent coming through that you go, look, Ricciardo, you haven't won a world championship. You're a great driver, but is that beyond you now?
And I mean, if Hamilton retires and Ocon goes to Mercedes, that seeded Alpine is Piastri's.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's a given.
He is Alpine's shot at anything near being at the top. He's clearly their future, and they'd be silly to let him go for Ocon,
I actually
in my opinion.
I actually have this weird feeling that the Mercedes power unit is like the number 4 power unit. I think the Renault engine is actually above it.
Yeah, it is.
Which
It is.
that's shocking.
I mean, if you look at the grid, it's the top 6 are all Ferrari powered. Oh, other than the Mercedes, the 2 Mercedes, and then the bottom 6 are all. Was it the bottom 5 or whatever it was? Even in qualifying, like the bottom 5 or 6 are all Mercedes. What we got?
Aside from
Yeah,
the 2
so
retired
you've
Red
got
Bulls, yeah.
Hulkenberg, Latifi, Norris, Ricciardo, Albon, Stroll. What's that? 6 all Mercedes.
Yeah.
And then the top, you've got Leclerc, Sainz. Take out the 2 Mercedes there, but they're the top team Mercedes, so, they're going to have a bit more than the others. But
There's only one Ferrari-powered team, one Ferrari-powered driver that's outside of the top 10. That's Mick Schumacher.
yeah, and he's 11th.
And yet, there's only 2 Mercedes-powered drivers in the top 10.
And they're the Mercedes team.
Yeah.
So they're always, going to be higher than their other power unit loving teams. But, yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think it's clearly the worst power unit on the grid at the moment.
Yeah. Which is, it makes Toto Wolff's last comment at the end of Drive to Survive look rather stupid. Speaking of rather stupid, it's time to do the driver standings. So I'm going to do this one.
Ooh.
I haven't done this one for a while. So leading the championship is Charles Leclerc on 26 points because he also got the fastest lap in the race.
Nice.
Coming in second is his teammate Carlos Sainz with 18 points. Third in the championship is Lewis Hamilton with 15 points. Fourth is George Russell in the other Mercedes with 12 points. In fifth in the Haas, I can't believe I just said that.
In that Unreal, I'm just looking at it right now and seeing the Haas logo. I'm like, what am I looking at? Why is there points next to his name? What's going on?
My eyes!
What universe do I live
My
in?
eyes are burning. Oh, God. Kevin Magnussen in fifth in the Haas with 10 points. 10 points after 10 days rejoining the team.
Unreal.
In sixth is Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo with 8 points.
That Alfa Romeo got 3 points in total last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It now has 9 points in the first race.
Well, the Haas got 0 points all year last year. Now it's got
and the
10.
year before.
And the year before. Now it's got 10.
You're a
Yeah.
wizard, Harry. 10 points for Gryffindor.
In seventh is Esteban Ocon in the Alpine with 6 points. In eighth is Yuki Tsunoda with 4 points, driving for AlphaTauri. Ninth in the Alpine is Fernando Alonso with 2 points. And coming in 10th, the 66th debutant to score points in Formula One, Zhou Guanyu in the Alfa Romeo with 1 point.
He actually impressed me today. I didn't have high hopes for him. I mean, I didn't have high hopes for Alfa Romeo or him. But for him to come out and score a point and race the way he did, I was like, okay, only first race, but you're showing that you should be here.
On debut, wheel to wheel with Hamilton and almost outdid him.
And Yuki Tsunoda did the same thing last year on debut. He got a point.
He did.
So, I'm actually looking forward to the inter-Asian battle between Tsunoda and Zhou.
Well, they're going to be
G.I.
around.
Joe.
They're going to be around the same mark most races by the looks of this race, how that played out. So they'll probably will have a few wheel-to-wheel battles, I'd say, throughout the year.
And JB, you can do the team standings.
Okay.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh,
A podium!
In first position. No, this is not. None of these are typos, by the way. In first position is Scuderia Ferrari on 44 points. And second is Petronas Mercedes AMG with 27 points.
Boo! Toto Wolff sucks dick.
In third place
Podium!
with 10 points, it's Haas F1.
A podium!
Someone smashed his front fuck door.
In fourth place
Oh my
with
god.
9 points is Alfa Romeo.
I have to butt in for a sec. Seeing Alfa Romeo in fourth reminds me of the song "The Only Way Is Up" by Yaz.
Well,
I'm sorry.
The Only Way Is Up by Haz. Or Haas.
I was worried Haas were going to be Haas beans, but
Fifth is LP with 8 points. Sixth is AlphaTauri with 4 points. Seventh is Aston Martin with 0 points. Eighth is Williams with 0 points.
Woo! Let's go.
Ninth is McLaren with 0 points.
get in there, McLaren.
And 10th is your world champion, Red Bull, with 0 points.
Oh, I mean, this is what we wanted to see in terms of it just being
It's
thrown up.
It's what
in the
some of
air.
us wanted to fucking see. It's what some of us didn't want to fucking see.
Yeah, well, I wanted to see Ferrari up the top. But I mean, look at that. The top 4 teams, 3 of them are Ferrari powered.
2 of them didn't score points last. Oh, sorry, Alfa Romeo I think scored 3 points, but
3 points, yeah.
you know, Haas didn't score points. Now here they are, third. In the, I mean, it's one race, but like it's just
You're starting to sound like a Cowboys fan. Settle down.
Could be worse.
Ooh,
Because
it's
look
like a
at second last on the here. That sounds like the thing of a Parramatta supporter.
yeah, 100%.
Oh.
Sleeping
Got
giant
it
ready
there.
to be woken.
And look, Ferrari is very much like a Broncos supporter.
Did you say Sleepy Giant? We weren't talking about Williams, JB. We're talking about McLaren.
Well, here's hoping our
Sleeping giant. That's harsh.
Yeah.
That is harsh.
here's hoping our fucking frenetic season-long battle for 12th and 13th is fucking worth it, Longhorn.
Who's going to get points first? Should we have a bet?
Was it worth your new fucking polo shirt? Because I'm not sure it was worth my new polo shirt. Rocked up on Friday, the day of first practice. And now I'm thinking like, what's the refund policy on this thing?
Should have just got a Stoffel Van Dorn $5 hat.
Should have just got a Van Dorn $5 hat.
Should have got a Specsavers. You know, that's what scares me is I was really looking at getting this year's Ferrari shirt.
You should.
You have to.
You have fucking reason to.
If I've got a Williams shirt from this year, you have to get
I've
a
got-
Ferrari shirt.
Yeah, but the
I've got a Ricardo shirt, man.
Yeah, but the problem is, if I buy a Ferrari shirt, they're going to fall apart.
You don't know that.
Yeah, well, look where your
They're
2
not.
teams are. Look where my team is.
I got 2 McLaren
You
shirts
bought a
last
shirt,
year.
you bought a shirt. I haven't bought a shirt yet.
Well, get a shirt.
Why? So I can fuck my team up?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
I want to see Haas win.
Why do I have to hurt all the time?
Because it's you.
We joked about Nikita Mazepin winning a world championship.
Yeah, but we knew that was a joke.
Kevin Magnussen could win the world championship. And
How
it's
much is
not-
he paying? He probably went down this week.
Kevin Magnussen probably dropped from 501 to 1. Maybe I'm better putting a sneaky fitty on fucking K-Bag.
Yeah, why not?
K-bag.
Or can you put him to finish in the top 3 or something?
I don't know. I
wonder what that would be
I'm
paying.
still gutted I didn't have money spared and put it on Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, I know. I should have done this. We
'Cause
talked
he's a
about it, and I was like,
genuine chance.
well, you said it. I was like, yep, that's a bet I'm going to put on, and I did the same as you. I just forgot about it.
Now this race is over. He's
Yeah.
probably dropped to like fucking $6.
Yeah, it's probably not worth
And
it.
just remember, please gamble responsibly. Sorry, I had to stick that in there.
Kevin Magnussen for. I've got money on Parramatta to win the premiership. Don't talk to me about gambling responsibly.
There's money you've lost.
Yeah. If you're going to give money away, JB, you can just give me some, hey?
Yeah. Yeah, just hand it over to us. We'll buy you beer. At least it turns your money into something.
We'll save it up for you and then buy you for beer at the end of the year when Parramatta don't win and you need those sadness beers.
I had plenty of those.
Yeah,
last
but
year.
but if you do that, see, you're gonna have to buy the Great Northern Zeros for him
Why?
because you're not getting real beer.
Because McLaren, 0 points.
We want you to fucking suffer. You're gonna sit there and drink your fake beer with no alcohol in it.
If I suffered enough this weekend.
and those I'll buy you a papaya pillowcase, all right? That way, when you're really upset, you can cry into your pillow.
I should be crying into my pillowcase right now. The Parramatta men's team lost by a sideline conversion on full time this weekend. The Parramatta women's team lost by a field goal.
McLaren lost by miles.
And McLaren lost by fucking a lap and a half.
Country mile.
So it's not been a fun weekend for the JB fucking side of this fucking conversation. And now you want me to drink non-alcoholic beer?
Yes.
You're sadistic. I'm done with this podcast.
Right, so the next week on the P&L Prod F1 chat.
Go ahead. Fucking sit here. Go ahead.
Next week, Barry Enchilada will show up as well. BLS.
Yeah.
BLB. BLP.
Get another newsreader. See if I can.
I'll get that guy that does the weather on Channel 7. Livio.
I'm not
Livio
reading-
Romano.
I'm not reading the news without my bagel. Get another newsreader. See if I can.
Suck my salty mouth.
Uh,
You know, I actually cannot stand that show.
Really?
What?
South Park. I can't stand it.
Oh, man.
That's
I'm a
disappointing.
Family Guy fan.
Family Guy is like the same mold.
Yeah, how do you not like South Park if you like
How can
Family
you not?
Guy?
How can you like Family Guy and not like South Park? It's the same thing,
I
Yeah.
don't know.
essentially.
But I mean, I haven't watched Family Guy in a few years either.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
But I mean, we're different generations. I mean, you like Pokemon.
Yes,
See, I grew up watching Transformers and Robotech and Technoman.
that was just before my time. I was too old. I did watch the animated Transformers though.
Yeah, because I mean, back in the day, they just rocked up and started blasting the shit out of each other.
Can't do that
Nowadays,
now.
they turn up and throw fucking globes at something and say, "I choose you," and then fucking animals do the fighting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is pretty bad. What about the Dragon Balls? They fucking grant you wishes and you can become Super Saiyan.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Whereas
Also
Optimus
pretty cool.
Prime just turned up and said, "Autobots transform and roll out," and then they'd show up and just start blasting the shit out of each other.
What about a sponge and a starfish that live under a rock?
Next to a squid.
Under a pineapple under the sea.
Pretty cool, Phil.
Pretty fucking bad, man. I think you should. All right, I'm done.
Right. So, that was this week's episode of Johnny Quits fucking doing the podcast. And McLaren finally got out of there suffering. We will be back next week for the Jeddah.
Maybe.
The Saudi Arabian F1 from Jeddah.
Possibly.
The cheese.
Yeah.
JB, you want to say goodbye?
Yeah. Possibly for. No, I'll be back next week. Come rain, hail, or shine. It's been good, boys. It was a good chat.
Yeah, it was.
It was
Yeah,
a
it's
good
good.
chat. I'll see
Yeah.
you guys in a week at the streets of the Jeddah Corniche
Longhorn?
Circuit.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. How good's this? We're
Yeah.
back, eh? Formula One's
Yeah,
back. This
it's
is what we've been
back.
waiting for, and here we are. And
And Drive to Survive is going to be awesome.
this year,
Yeah. Season 5. Apparently, it's going to be the last season.
what did we all think of? We've all finished watching Drive to Survive now.
Yeah.
What did we think of this season compared to the others?
It wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst.
Yeah.
I think with what they had to work with, it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's
It
a
was
shame
the
Max
most-
isn't in it.
It was the most dramatic season of Formula One I've ever watched.
Yep.
I felt like they left a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, I think like
See you next week.
No, I 100% agree, Jamie. I think you're spot on. They did. They really did. Considering, like you said, it's the most dramatic season we've had, I was expecting more drama.
And Nikita Mazepin really did make you boil your piss.
Oh, he did. He did. I'm so glad we don't have to talk about him anymore.
Oh, him and Dimitri, his
Yeah.
old man. They have the same haircut.
Yeah, they do. They're the same, just one's
Yeah.
older.
Yeah,
What?
and they're both assholes.
One thing I'll say about Drive to Survive that I found interesting watching this season, because when I watched the other three seasons, what got me into Formula One to where I am now. So it was more interesting watching those seasons to find, like, I don't know, it was like different. So I can understand why people that are big fans of Formula One aren't huge fans of Drive to Survive, because you know what's actually happened, and they do fabricate some kind of drama, like, you know, the Daniel Lando thing. They tried to make it look like they weren't getting along worse than what was actually going on. So when you know that that's not happening, I can see why you don't like it. But for a fan, for someone who doesn't watch Formula One, it's brilliant. Like, it's what got me into it to the point where I'm at now, and I'm sure it's done it to a lot of other fans. So I think it's like, it's brilliant for the sport. It's still, to me, the best documentary of a sport. Is it a documentary or yeah, the best documentary of a sport going around, in my opinion. But I did notice, now that I understand Formula One and keep up with it all the time, I was a bit like, that's not what's happening. You know, like, you're watching it going, that's not what's really happening, you know, blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
it's still, obviously, it's
I
still
think
great to watch.
the things that annoyed me about this season was Will Buxton. Like, his overdub commentary where he's just highlighting shit that doesn't matter.
He had some crackers, didn't he?
And
Was it, if you drive in Formula One, you are a Formula One driver.
wow, I want a T-shirt with that written on it. Fucking pearls of wisdom. But he just shit me to tears. Whereas I didn't mind Jenny Gow. I know Jenny Gow annoyed JB a lot, but I thought she was kind of cute. But I like that we got to see a little bit more of Gunther Steiner and Jost Capito.
Yes, I loved Jos Capito.
He's a character.
Oh, he was great. Him talking about, and like his philosophy on stuff, I found really interesting. Like when he told that story about his two rally drivers and how he distracted them by asking them to grab each other's balls, and they're both confused, going like, "What?" And he's like basically saying, "You know, have you got balls? Like, now use them." And then he explains what he's doing. He's like, sometimes in those situations, you've just got to distract the person from the fear so they can get, you know what I mean? And I'm like, that's so clever and hilarious, you know,
because
of him, you want Williams to do well.
And you know, one thing I'm picking more up on this because I'm a Williams fan, but he said, you know, like, one thing we've got to do as Williams is focus on all the things we can get better at, like pit stops and stuff like that. And their first pit stop tonight was the quickest on the grid by like a second. It was 2.7 seconds. Everyone was averaging about 3.5.
Lando's was 2.4.
Yeah, but his was after. Like I'm saying, at that time, it was, everyone else was averaging about 3.5, and then they come in and did 2.4, and I was like, here you go. Has he got, you know what I mean? Like, he's changing that culture to go, you know what? We might not have the fastest car, but we can be the best at pit stops, and that's going to help us. You know, like, you be the best in every little element. That's what builds the championship team, you know? And I think that's what he's going to put into Williams.
I didn't realise that Susie Wolff was Scottish. And she had a very thick Scottish accent, but the show did really make Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton look like the bad guys.
Well, I love what they did to Toto Wolff at the end. They put him in like a proper villain suit where he looked like a bad guy from 007.
Yeah.
Right at the end, after all the drama happened, like.
But it was a shitty Bond villain.
Yes, it was crappy, but they clearly did it. Like, he was not wearing that kind of suit the whole series. Then right at the end, after the drama happened, and he says his comments about, you know, whatever he's going on about Mercedes coming back, he's in that like proper villain suit, like, you know.
Whereas, like, Christian Horner seemed to highlight what every non-Lewis Hamilton fan was thinking. Every time Lewis Hamilton would sit there and say, "Oh, you know, the team, and thank the team and the boys back at the factory and these amazing fans," and Christian's just like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, this is bullshit."
Yeah.
And it's what every non-Lewis Hamilton fan has been saying for the last 5 fucking years. Like, fuck, we're sick of this shit.
Just sick of them winning. Like, in one of the episodes, they showed that, you know, where was it the president of the Bahrain GP or something come up and was said to Red Bull, like, make sure you beat Mercedes this year or something like that.
Yeah, kick the shit out of them.
Yeah, like, beat them, you know, like, there was all this montage of all these people being like, beat Mercedes this year, you know?
Yeah, because everyone knew it was the best thing for the sport.
Yeah, it's what needed to happen, yeah.
And, like, Christian, a lot of people sat there and went, "Oh, the show tried to make Christian Horner look like he was the bad guy." I didn't get that at all.
No, I didn't.
You know, I thought that particularly the stuff where they showed him with his wife Ginger Spice.
In Oxfordshire, riding horses.
You know what really upset me was when they put up on the screen on one episode Northamptonshire, and which is where the Mercedes factory is. That's where my dad was from. And I'm just sitting there going, motherfuckers, no, fuck you, Northamptonshire, piss off. Yeah, I know, Dad. If you're looking down on me, yeah, you're proud. Whatever. But yeah, I didn't think it was good as. Actually, don't think it was as good as the first season.
First season was brilliant.
But it had moments where it was really good, and it had moments where it showed the Mazepins and their real, true colours.
Yeah, it did.
How ruthless and
Toxic.
yeah.
Yep.
I was going to say Russian, but toxic. And, yeah, a couple of times they interviewed Michael Massey. A couple of times they showed Michael Massey interacting with Toto Wolff and Christian Horner. But, yeah, overall it was still good, though.
Yeah. Ratings out of 10?
I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think 7.
Yeah.
I think they could have done more. I mean, just for the sheer drama of the season, like, you didn't even have to over-dramatize it.
No.
It was dramatic enough.
Yeah, they just needed to play into
I don't
the actual
need
drama going
Jenny
on.
Gauss sitting there every 30 seconds like, Nathan Lewis going wheel to wheel. And it's going to be intense and historic.
It's a lot
Thanks.
better than listening to Will Buxton, though.
Yeah.
If you qualify on pole, you'll be ahead of 19 other drivers, which is where you want to be. Thanks, Will. Thanks, Jenny.
He sounded like an infomercial. Yeah, like... Yeah.
Get more out of an infomercial than some of what he was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
I wouldn't have minded
If you win the championship, you are the world champion.
Tonight on Buxton Gear. Will Buxton states the obvious. Will Buxton dribbles on ship. And John fucking leaves.
Speaking of, I'm fucking leaving.
All right.
Yeah.
See you next week.
We'll see you next week for the episode 4 of
Thanks
the,
for listening,
of
guys.
the F1 chat, where we're going to go over the Saudi Arabian F1 from Jeddah and any other news items that happen during the week. Until then, thank you for tuning in, and we will say goodbye for now. Goodbye.
Peace.